Today's episode is brought to you by Positively Productive Systems, whose mission is to be the antidote to your stress and to provide compassionate productivity resources and coaching that help you heal and achieve. Be sure to check out both free and paid resources at positivelyproductive.com/resources.
These limiting beliefs, these negative thoughts will hinder us from moving forward in taking the desirable actions that will lead to desirable results. So usually I am very self-aware because I believe everything starts with self-awareness. I always purposely reflect on everything that's happening and everything that's going on in my thoughts and making sure they are more on the positive sides, right? We all have those little voices inside our head, and that's your brain trying to protect you to reassure that your limiting beliefs are really the truth, but they are not. They're mostly false. They're just your reactions, and they actually dominate most of your thinkings because our thoughts are repetitive.
You're listening to the Positively Living podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Zarotny, founder of Positively Productive Systems and a coach certified in time and stress management, helping clients make space for what matters most in their lives. Join me each episode and we'll talk about decluttering, stress management, habits, personalized productivity, gratitude, and so much more. I understand the overwhelm of life because I'm a wife, mom to kids and cats, and a former caregiver. I'm here to help you choose what's right for you so you can do less, live more, and breathe easier. Sound good? Let's get to it. I bet if I asked you to tell me the last time you didn't feel confident, you could recall it quickly, and it might even be a recent one. Lack of confidence is something the majority of us have shared, and it's something that keeps us playing small in our own lives. The results of holding back are many, not the least of which are lost opportunities and regrets. Let's turn that around by building our confidence and acting on it. Live your best life might sound cliche, but I would argue that it's not only a gift for you to do so, it's critical for others as well. When you show up fully, you change lives. In today's episode of the Positively Living podcast, we're jumping on one of the most common reasons behind lack of confidence, limiting beliefs. My guest, Lucy Liu, helps us understand what they are, how they manifest in our lives, and what we can do to overcome them and clear a path to confidence. Lucy Liu is a business and life coach helping women in life transitions get unstuck, kiss overwhelm goodbye, cultivate rockstar confidence, see clarity, reach new goals, and live a joyful, fulfilling life. She's an unshakable optimist, wife, mother, easygoing entrepreneur, woman empowerment workshop facilitator, motivational speaker, author, and host of her weekly podcast, The Lucy Liu Show. She's been featured in Medium, Voyage LA, Elephant Journal, Thrive Global, Fox, CBS, NBC, and dozens of podcasts. Lucy encourages you to make the choice today to be confident. That's where it starts. The rest is practice. As you listen to our conversation, you'll catch some familiar topics like self-awareness, habits, fear, change, inner critics, and personality, all covered in previous episodes of the podcast. This means that if you've been listening and learning about these aspects of your life, you already have the tools you need to kick limiting beliefs to the curb and welcome confidence in. Welcome, Lucy Liu, to the Positively Living podcast. I am so delighted to be chatting with you today about some really important topics, especially for us as women and entrepreneurs. And I'm so glad that you are willing to have this positive and encouraging chat today. Welcome.
Lisa, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Would you start, please, by telling us a bit about who you are and who you help and what lights you up?
Ooh, it lights me up to be here because I love inspiring women to live the best life they can and not just to survive, but to thrive. So I personally transformed my own life from feeling overstressed, unhappy, and unhealthy at one point to now living my life of true joy, fulfillment, and mindfulness, and just the unshakable, positive person. I love to help other women make that kind of life transformation. And of course, along the way, there's a lot of shattering limiting beliefs and making bold moves to make this happen. But now I focus on helping women in a transitional phase of their life because
Hmm.
it's the most beautiful time of life to take them to that next best version with strategic goal setting and mindset transformations.
I love that. And of course, you are not only an entrepreneur, but a mom as well, right?
Absolutely. I'm a mama bear to my 9-year-old daughter and can't be better.
So it's a big mix, but as I can attest to, it is such a satisfying mix of being able to, I guess, balance those worlds and find harmony within them. But as any mom will tell you, there's always that feeling of, at least initially, of frustration and uncertainty. I think maybe is probably even a better word about are we doing enough? Are we doing the right things? And then I think as entrepreneurs, we feel that as well. So that's why talking about this idea of confidence and where we get it from and why we don't have it, or like what's happening there and how it connects to limiting beliefs, is so important. How about we start with this idea of limiting beliefs? We hear about them, right? What are they? What's going on there?
Such a good question. These are beliefs that we form inside our head that we believe to be so true that we hang on to. Life is filled with circumstances, right? For example, if you lose your job or if you are married, you're not married, anything that is a fact in life, those are circumstances. We get to decide if these circumstances are positive or negative because these are simply facts. Anything that happens to you in life, they're facts, they're circumstances, but they're actually neutral. The circumstances will trigger certain thoughts in your head. So if you trigger negative thoughts, you will evoke some negative emotions, and therefore you might take certain actions as a result, right? However, if these circumstances trigger your positive thoughts, then you will have a more positive emotion towards these circumstances. And in turn, you will take more positive actions. And we all know that more positive actions usually leads to positive or more desirable results. So that's what we want to train our brain to start thinking of positive results instead of negative ones. And usually our limiting beliefs are more negative about ourselves, about our abilities, or about our situations. But you got to know that life throws us curveballs. And it's inevitable that we're all thrown curveballs at, right? I don't know anyone who do not have problems in their life. But these limiting beliefs, these negative thoughts, will hinder us from moving forward in taking the desirable actions that will lead to desirable results. So, usually, I am very self aware because I believe everything starts with self awareness. I always purposely reflect on everything that's happening and everything that's going on in my thoughts and making sure they are more on the positive sides, right? We all have those little voices in our inside our head, and that's your brain trying to protect you to reassure that your limiting beliefs are really the truth, but they are not. They're mostly false. They're just your reactions, and they actually dominate most of your thinkings because our thoughts are repetitive. So if our thoughts are repetitive and they're negative, guess how much impact that would make in your life? It's my superpower to turn those negatives into positive as a coach, of course, but anyone can practice and it takes practice. It's like going to the gym, right? We go to the gym to work out our physical bodies, but we definitely have to work out our mental muscles and really shattering limiting beliefs or having confidence. Those are all muscles that we can actually build. And even if you don't feel like you don't have enough of those muscles, you can work it out and build those muscles.
Yes, this is the same metaphor that I use in one of, I believe, the techniques that we can use in that is practicing gratitude, right? We're searching for the good, we're searching for the appreciation. Going back to the idea that we have these circumstances and then we're deciding are these, I'm not a fan of using the words good and bad, but it's like, are they serving us? Are they not serving us? And we do think in those terms often. We think in those judgmental terms. Where are they coming from? I love that you mentioned that our brains try to protect us. I also think our families can teach us that. We can be taught these limiting beliefs as well, right?
Oh, wow. Yes, absolutely. Our family upbringing, society, right? Especially as a woman, you
Mhm.
mentioned women tend to be less confident. Research has shown that men usually go for something when they're 60% ready. And as women, studies have shown we don't usually tend to go for things until we're 100% ready. And I think as entrepreneurs, most women actually don't go for things unless they're like 200%. They're making sure they're ready, and which they're mostly never ready, right? Or
Yeah.
they've got everything, and you always feel like something's missing. And as a mom, you feel like you're not doing good enough. There's always mom guilt. Yes. So our family upbringing, everything we've learned along the way, it all affects the way we think and we react to certain things. For example, when we're growing up, our moms always teach us when A happens, you should do B. So we're automatically reacting, right? So even if we don't put it in positive or negative terms, a lot of these actions that we take are automatic and you don't realize it until you actually purposely reflect on them and start being aware of what's going on or what you're thinking or those mindset blocks or false beliefs about yourself that makes you feel less confident or less of yourself. So we got to break them down and really remove those mindset blocks.
Yeah. And so you've made the connection, which was the next thing I wanted to do, to this idea that we have these beliefs. They come from all over the place. And of course, the first step, you're absolutely right, is awareness. And I've said it so many times, our number one productivity tool is self awareness. So, first step, you're already checking it off by listening to us today and joining us in this conversation is to be aware, to start thinking, where are these beliefs coming from and are they accurate based on the circumstances? Okay. So next up, we are now aware of what's going on. How are these beliefs impacting our confidence?
Oh, it's a big way because I would say, first of all, you have to make a decision after the awareness, right? So you're aware that something's happening in your life that you want to change. And I always say that life has three C's, and that's change. If you want anything to change, to be different in your life, you've got to make the choice. So you have to be very determined about your choice and decision. Where are you going to go? You can make that choice to change something in your life. You can be determined to make a difference in certain areas of your life or business. So you get that choice and decision is also very, very important. It's got
Mhm.
to be groundbreaking, right? It's got to be really pillared into the ground that you are going to have unshakable confidence going forward. You have to make that decision to be confident. That's very important. And then you have a chance. Chances and opportunities are everywhere, right? You got to be open-minded and start to be on the lookout for those chances. Right? Once you make that decision and choice, chances will come, opportunities will come knocking once you decide to step up, show up, and level up. The universe always works in that certain way. And whether whoever you believe in, that higher power, is going to help you once you decide to move a certain direction.
Mhm.
So you don't want to put yourself down, right? When you feel less confident, it's okay. Just notice it and work yourself back up again. Our phones or even computers always have times that are not working. So just reboot it. I'm always intentionally rebooting myself to give myself that aha moment Because so many women, they wait for a certain sign. They wait for a catastrophic, a certain epiphany. I mean, it's great if something happened to you that gave you an epiphany or a hot moment, but if it's not happening, don't wait on it. You can give yourself those aha moments instead of just waiting for something else to happen or someone else to come save you or someone else to help you. You can intentionally do that yourself because you're the CEO of your life, right? You have your financial department, administration department. You're the CEO of this organization called your life. And you've got to take control. You've got to take the action decision to do so. And you have total control over that.
So you mentioned choice and chance.
Yes, when you want to change.
Yes, I love it. What's interesting to me is when you were saying this idea of making a choice, and really getting 100% behind it, I was thinking so much of how when our why is what drives us. And so that opens us up to the how. But what I love is you describing it as not just making a choice as to what you're going to do, but a choice to be confident. And that idea that we can say, and this goes back actually to the idea of our personalities and how fluid they are and how much of a choice we have in that regard, that we can change. We can make these changes. And it's a matter of, like you said, choosing to do that, to say, okay, this isn't working for me. This is what I want. And I also really love that you brought up the distinction between men and women. And I remember those statistics from researching the job market and sending in resumes and applying to different positions, and how men would send in their resume even when they were not remotely qualified for the job. Kudos to them. But women would struggle with that, and applying that to our lives and motherhood and to the entrepreneurial world. It's important to be aware of that and to make a conscious change.
Absolutely. Consciousness. I love that word. I always say you consciously, intentionally reflect, you consciously make your decisions, and you consciously take each action every day so that it's aligned with your beliefs and values and priorities. And that's how you live a beautiful life, because if you're aligned with everything that you ever believed in and doing so and making progress forward, there's no right or wrong, right? You get to design your life by your design. And that's the beauty and fun of it, right? I always say goal setting is not it's not to goal set, is to have fun in life. It's to do what you want to do according to your choice.
I love that. The power of choice. It's incredible. So, in all of this, in this choice that we have, okay, and what you're saying about the circumstances, and that, you have these details, these facts of our lives, and now we choose, what do they mean? We give meaning to these things. We make a choice to be confident. Let me ask you this. Does the fact that you're an unshakable optimist make it easier for you?
No, it wasn't always that way, right? People think, oh, she was just born like that. Or every motivational speaker, public speaker that I've met were shy when they were young, right?
Mhm.
They were afraid of public speaking. So it's the same way that all these skills, remember, anything you want in life is a skill to practice. So for me, as you know, my name is Lucy Liu. So
Mhm.
growing up so close to Hollywood, I'm from Los Angeles. So being really close to Hollywood, when I was in middle school, I actually signed with a casting agency and I went to numerous auditions. And guess what? Every single time I went to an audition, the casting director would run out really excitedly that Lucy Liu's on their list. I'm like, oh my God, Lucy Liu's here. And then they see me very apparently disappointed. They're like, oh, not the Lucy Liu. Okay.
Not that
So
one.
yeah. So can you imagine? I never got any role. And of course, eventually I stopped going to auditions because I felt like my future was entrepreneurship. But in those process, I think that's what built up my confidence, because your confidence gets shattered every time. And when you pick yourself back up again, that muscle is building, right? Just like when you go work out, your muscles soar. It might hurt a little bit for the short term, but for the long term, it's good for you. And every time when you shatter a limiting belief, that's when that sore muscle is growing. So that's what I do. And every single time, I am always looking for more limiting beliefs to shatter. And it is so fun. For example, I saw someone drown in front of me when I was 5 years old
Oof.
at the reservoir. And ever since, I was very afraid to swim. And even in high school, we had to pass this thing called a swimming proficiency test to graduate. And I practiced for months and months for this test. And I was only able to kind of pass borderline swimming with my head out of the water. After about a year after I became a life coach, I'm always with my clients, shattering their limiting beliefs. And I realized that if I was talking the talk, I need to walk the walk, obviously, and break my own fears. So I'm always thinking, which one should I break next? Let's see, how about the swimming fear, right? That stuck with me for 30 something years.
Mm.
And once I made that decision, one day when my daughter asked me to put down my head, see, that's my chance, right? And I made the choice. Guess what I did? I just swam with my head down with
Mm.
her and I did it. So mindset is a moment to moment shift. It only takes one true decision. And if you asked me 30 years ago, no way, impossible for the rest of my life. So, yes, it's really fun to shatter limiting beliefs.
I love that. So that is a tip right now. Decide a limiting belief that you have and step forward to shatter it. So you identify it, you decide you're going to do it, and then you take action that will push yourself, right? It's kind of the feel the fear and do it anyway kind of idea. So stepping back to this idea of training your brain, right? Helping us get that strength, right? Building the muscle. We talked a little bit about resilience, right? And building confidence, because every time you fall down, you get back up, you're building. Every time you're shattering a limiting belief. What are some other ways we can keep training our brain to make it better and better each time?
Well, really, you just mentioned it, just doing it, right? Because once you do it enough, it becomes automatic. That's just how life is. You just continue to do it until it becomes easy. For example, when we used to learn how to drive a car, think about it. You kind of like fidgeting where the pedal is, you're like a robot shifting your gears. But once you do it enough, once you drive for a while, you can be putting on makeup, you can be eating in the car while you drive, right? It just becomes so much easier because driving then becomes automatic, it becomes a part of you. So in the same way, it's uncomfortable. Anything you do new is uncomfortable at first, but once you do it enough, it becomes so easy, right? So I talked about one of my limiting belief is my name is Lucy Liu because someone else so famous, beautiful celebrity, and I can't even hate her because I love her, but she's so famous already. So I always had this limiting belief that I'm just gonna live life like an average Joe because I'm nobody. I am nobody, right? So now I say I'm an ex nobody. I'm a recovering nobody. But another limiting belief that I had all my life was that even though I hold a diploma from a very well-known university, I always felt my English isn't good enough. I used to say my English isn't good enough when I talk to people. And some people say, "Hey, Lucy, you're crazy," right? And let me tell you, most of the things that's going on in your head right now, I would think is crazy too.
Mhm.
And that's how we feel about other people. They're like, "Oh, you're good, you're amazing." But when it comes to yourself, you're usually like, "Oh, it's not good enough, or I'm not ready, or in some form," right? And that's why I actually started my podcast. It was kind of for me as well to shatter my own limiting beliefs. So that's why I started my podcast and just calling it the Lucy Liu Show. I tell myself I am unique. I am somebody now. Even if I only help the life of one listener, I have done my contribution to a better world to help someone's life and to shatter my own limited beliefs. And that's why I launched my podcast the day I decided to do it.
I love that. What you're talking about in every step of the way, and this idea of repeating it again and again and again, building a muscle, you're talking about habit development. This should sound familiar, right? I'm talking about this all the time. You're right. Our brains are like, whoa, that's new. What is that? I'm not so sure about that. But the more that we do it, the more we incorporate it, the more your brain's like, oh, yeah, yeah, okay, I got this. And then you keep moving forward. And yeah, it's a practice like anything else. I did mention gratitude before. I happen to think that's an awesome way to practice that muscle and keep going. But really, it's about taking a step, taking another, and then keep going, right?
Absolutely. There is not a day go by that I do not journal my gratitudes. So I'm very big on gratitude as well. And I also have my clients add at least one liner of wins on top of gratitude. So
Yes.
gratitude is like the foundation. And then you want to go to sleep feeling like a winner. So look for those small wins and also journal down your wins on top of the gratitudes.
Absolutely. That's going to help you too with being able to more readily identify the good and the things that are going right. It's one of my favorite things because our brains love to close that task loop and be like, oh, no, I finished that. I'm done with that. We don't need to think about that anymore. By the way, you have all of this other stuff you need to be doing. And that's what our brains are focusing on. And if I say to my clients, okay, so what'd you accomplish last week? Oh, not much. And then we have a conversation, it's actually a lot much. Yeah, celebrating is huge. Journaling, gratitude, all of those are amazing. Any other tips or point of inspiration you would like to leave everyone with to encourage them to overcome those limiting beliefs and choose gratitude?
I would have to say that to live life positively, you've got to wake up positively. So, if I have to say one tip, I would say try to intentionally smile when you wake up and start the day off right. I used to say that my only goal for the day is to make my bed, and then I'm a success. So usually by 7 a.m., I'm up having a good day and living a successful life already.
There you go. I love it. It's like, okay, my goal is to make my bed. Look at that. I made my bed. It reminds me of a meme I shared where it was like, my goal was to get up and have a cup of coffee. I'm drinking coffee. Follow your dreams. That's fantastic. Okay, I think we're at a beautiful place to wrap up. And speaking of fun and celebration and things along those lines, are you ready to have some fun with me and do a rapid wrap up?
Absolutely.
Okay. Please fill in the blanks for me. Okay. The song that always makes me dance is?
I think most songs can make me dance.
I'm not surprised.
But I would have to say Can't Stop the Feeling from the Trolls movie because we were on vacation in Macau when my daughter was 3. Macau is like the Las Vegas of Asia. And we were inside Sheraton and they would have a dance parade. It was around the time the movie came out and they would have a dance party like twice a day. And then we went like 5 days in a row and they were just playing this song on repeat. So it stuck with me like forever after.
I love that one, little Justin Timberlake. And that is going on the Positively Living Podcast Spotify Dance Playlist, Volume 3. It's going to kick off Volume 3. So I think that's an awesome choice. All right. How about the quote or mantra I share all the time is?
Well, I would say my favorite quote is yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, today is a gift, which is why we call it the present.
I love that one. All right. How about a resource, book, or app that makes my life easier is?
Can I say my own podcast, The Lucy Liu Show?
Sure, you
Because
can.
I actually listen to my own podcast when I need it. And I think in that way, I'm making sure I'm also serving my audience. For example, on episode 32, I had one of my clients come in and did a 10-minute short breathwork session sample.
Hmm.
So actually, when I need it, I actually refer to that episode and just really take a quick breathwork section. And it's amazing. It got me through the pandemic beautifully.
Awesome. Okay. And now, last but not least, what or whom are you grateful for today, Lucy?
I'm grateful for so many wonderful, amazing ladies who's been an inspiration to me along the way. And I'm very grateful for you, Lisa, today because you're making my day good. It's beautiful. And I hope everyone who's listening, thank you. You're a beautiful soul. And just remember that life is beautiful. There is always a way, and more blessings are coming your way.
I love that. And I am most certainly grateful for you for taking the time and for sharing your wisdom and your positivity. And so I want to thank you, Lucy, for shining your light in this world and for sharing it with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today. Your time is precious and limited, and I'm honored you chose to spend it with me. If you have feedback, questions, or want to schedule a chat, head to positivelyproductive.com/connect. And if you are looking for any of the resources referenced on the podcast, from books to products to training and more, go to positivelyproductive.com/resources.